Hi, Sasa. Today I want to show you my 2 million house for flat in Shenzhen, China, which sounds a little bit crazy when I say out loud, but the houses in Shenzhen are very expensive. This is a home I can work for and the place I grew up in. So this isn't just a house tour, it's also a look into what a real Chinese family home looks like.
Keiner kennt sich mit Klingen besser aus als Wilkinson's Sword. Unsere Klingen sind so gut, dass man sich einfach überall rasieren möchte. Der Hydro 5, der Testsieger von Wilkinson's Sword. Jetzt optimiert. Und Hilda? Ja. Cancel meine Termine.
Hello, it's my birthday today. Please join me and celebrate. Greetings from here, Lionel, my name. Hope you can hear me.
L'équipe de Bundesliga décimée par les blessures est encore invaincue. 3 victoires consécutives au championnat, sauf qu'en face, c'est le PSG, tenant du titre, qui est absent, qui font petit à petit leur retour. Soyez les bienvenus sur le sport. C'est un immense plaisir de suivre cette rencontre en particulier entre le... Terrier également, Leverkusen n'avait pas imaginé un retour aussi rapide, de ne pas prendre trop de risques. Et on vous a bien fait au moins Dembélé un moment sur la pelouse de la Bayer Arena. Ce soir, c'est le 11 du PSG. Dans quelques instants, le coup d'envoi de cette rencontre. Luis Enrique et Casper nous demandent les deux entraîneurs ce soir. L'Européen Sally Bayoulou, on aura l'occasion d'en parler. C'est parti ici à la Bayer Arena pour ce match dans le cadre de la 3e journée de la phase de la Ligue. Casper nous demande, Elodie vous en a parlé si vous étiez déjà là.
Today's my birthday. Join me, wish me happy birthday.
Pour une frappe de Nuno Mendes. Hakimi. Mendes, le centre, deuxième poteau, la tête à l'ouverture du score. William Pacho. 7e minute. Déjà un rebut d'avance pour le PSG avec cette balle de Nuno Mendes. Formidable. Il faut surtout pas lui laisser autant de liberté et autant de temps et autant de centimètres pour mettre ce genre de ballon. C'est un joueur formidable. Un joueur formidable capable de mettre ce genre de passe décisive également. C'est quelque chose qu'on voit aussi. Oh, attention, ce ballon récupéré avec Kvaratskhelia. Et finalement Flecken, ancien gardien de Brentford, qui peut bloquer ce ballon. Brentford victorieux hier soir sur la pelouse de West Ham en Première Ligue. Ah, il a failli... Accélération de Doué. Doué, le passement de jambe. Doué obligé de revenir. Non, il garde le ballon. Il n'est pas victime d'une faute. L'arbitre laisse jouer. Et là, ça va permettre de libérer ce ballon. Zaïre Emery. Kvaratskhelia. La frappe du Géorgien qui va terminer au-delà du cadre. 19e minute. Frappe non cadrée de la part de l'ancien du Napoli. Un but Echeverry encore. Nouveau corner. Et Alex Garcia qui va aller tirer à nouveau ce coup de coin.
You go into a relationship with a man that earns less than you?
Yeah, I would.
Why?
I would make him richer.
Wow.
Because they're...
Il a peut-être une autre idée avant de concéder la touche finalement sans prendre de risque. Echeverry encore. Echeverry face à Zabardi. Penalty. La main dans la surface de réparation. Quel travail d'Echeverry.
Hi there.
19 ans qui
Hello.
a insisté.
Today's my birthday. Join me, celebrate my birthday with me. It's nice having you here, friends.
Et qui a obtenu
How are you today?
ce penalty. C'est un joli duel avec Zabardi.
It's a weekend and I'm watching football.
Mais aussi beaucoup Zabardi depuis le début de face à Chevalier. Rivaldo. C'est pas dedans, ça touche les poteaux.
Also, ich kann auch Deutsch sprechen, wenn du möchtest. Gehst jetzt hier? Heute ist mein Geburtstag,
Après le poteau.
aber ich habe nichts zu tun. Ich gucke mal so Fernseher. Gibt es ein Fußballspiel, also Paris gegen Leverkusen. Aber ist schon ein artes Spiel. Ich gucke
Ce
mal,
ballon,
wie
second ballon pour Mayulu, le poteau.
zu wiederholen.
Le poteau de Seni Mayulu.
You said you speak German. Are you go to English? Oh, you're confusing my brain.
De son deuxième but de la saison en Champions
Thank you
League.
very much. I'm happy you're wishing me. Thank you. Thank you very
La
much.
trajectoire
My pleasure.
de Tapso joue cette
My pleasure,
cette touche.
France. I'm happy you're wishing me. You're the first person to wish me today. I'm happy.
Avec cette
You
frappe
can see in the comment section you're the first person.
très remuant.
Thank you very much. I'm happy.
Sur ce côté gauche,
Do you have a YouTube channel so I can follow you? Because I can't follow you here.
au Suisse, au Nigeria,
When I click on your name, I don't see your channel.
Kassouwa, Spiegel, Boes et les autres.
You can just follow my channel so that then you give me a YouTube channel so I can follow you too. Yeah, give me the name. What's the name? Just follow me, then you give me the name, so I'll follow you with the
Qui
name.
va annuler le carton jaune et qui va exclure le capitaine allemand
Do you live in Germany?
qui ne proteste même pas. Il sait qu'il a commis une but. Peut-être ensuite des Tapsoba. Peut-être la possibilité de marquer. On va penalty encore une fois. Oui, bien sûr. Et le carton rouge. Aussi, nouveau tournant dans ce match, dans cette première période.
Also, okay. Los geht's dann.
C'est même pas une passe.
Los geht's.
C'est même pas une passe.
Ja, weißt du, ich will jeden Tag oder
Vérifier, mais c'est
immer
pas une
Deutsch zu
faute sur le
sprechen,
partenaire.
damit kann ich mein Deutsch auch verbessern, weißt du?
Ensuite, c'est simplement
Und
un ballon.
als ich nach Deutschland gekommen bin,
Les deux défenseurs
hatte ich ein paar Sprachkurse gelernt. Also bis zu B1, dann habe ich
de l'arbitre a déjà été
aufgehört,
proposé et il choisit
zur Arbeit gegangen und später wollte ich jetzt eine Weiterbildung machen
partout.
und sie haben nach B2-Niveau gefragt. So, ich bin wieder noch in Deutschkurs gegangen
Garcia.
und habe ich jetzt mein B2 bestanden und gerade mache ich eine Weiterbildung in der Spedition oder kaufmännische Branche.
Premier but de... Très intéressante. Ici à la Bahia Arena.
Wirklich?
Vitinha, la talonnade.
Nein.
Le ballon de...
Guck mal, wenn ich mit jemandem, das gut Deutsch sprechen kann,
Possibilité de donner encore la
spreche ich wie ein Empfänger, weißt du? Aber wenn ich mit jemandem, das ich weiß, dass, okay, mein Niveau ist höher als deine, dann kommt mein Deutsch ein bisschen gut raus.
Une seule fulgurance, un ballon qui part de la droite, qui voyage jusqu'à la gauche. Quelques pas seulement, la frappe de Désiré Doué, qui marque ce soir.
How do you know he has beards? How do you know he has beards, Emilian? Emilian Tuna, you know when somebody keep beards, I like beards, right? But when it's grown like this, it doesn't fit me. Like my beard has to be short. And I never had hair. Yeah, it's just small. And here too, just small. The person said, can you cut your beards for 10 euro? Hey France, which is your team? Do you support football? Welcher Verein ist dein bester Verein? Hey Emilian, I can cut my beards for 100 euro. I can cut my beards for 100 euro. Emilian, are you down? Let's cut the beard. Oh, Bayern Munich. You know, my team is Paris. Let me show you something. Look at my team. That is my team. PSG. This is us. That's my Mannschaft. Mein Verein. PSG. Wir sind hyper stark. Ja. Nummer 1. Allez, Paris. Paris, c'est magie. Wir haben so die beste Mannschaft, Paris Saint-Germain.
Cette fin de première période avec l'aide.
Hi, Mafo from Kurdistan. How are you?
Leverkusen, KO debout au tapis, qui perd des
Hey, France, come on. Are you single, France? Let's go.
place pour Hakimi, mais aussi
Thank you.
intéressant.
Thank you. 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 Weißt du was? Ich habe so lange Zeit eine neue Wohnung gesucht hier in Deutschland. Seit 2023 suche ich eine neue Wohnung. Ja? Es gibt irgendwas so wie Wohnungsbau. Habt ihr Wohnungsbau da, wo du wohnst? Ich habe so einen Eintrag auf Wohnungsbau geschickt, online hochgeschickt. Ich habe heute einen Brief von Wohnungsbau bekommen, dass ich eine Wohnung bekommen habe. So, Franz, ich habe eine neue Wohnung, 3-Zimmer-Wohnung, 52 Quadratmeter.
Ce soir, ça va être très très long.
Emilian Tuna, thank you. Emilian, I want to cut my beard for 100 euro. Capiche? Let's go.
Regardez, hein, c'est Pacho qui cherche
100 euro.
à garder une concentration maximale et optimale, ça on le sait.
Yeah. Bro, PSG is the best team so far for 2 years. PSG is the best. I know Bayern is good with the likes of Olise, Hurricane, and the other guy from Colombia. What is his name?
Devant la ligne de... Et une frappe qui termine au fond. Quel but!
I also speak German. Oh, France, I think Emilian has something with you. Right? Talk to Emilian. It seems she wants to talk to you. I'm also Kurdish,
Pour l'Espagnol,
and I am doing something Kurdish. Cool, bro. It's a fact. Stop it.
et encore un but.
What should we stop?
Plus avec un...
Marvel, you're welcome here. No matter who you are, I don't really care. I have so many Kurdish friends, and I remember when I just came to Germany.
Et la frappe.
I had a friend called Ekrem. He was well received to me in Germany.
Titularisation.
Genau Diaz.
Barcola. La frappe de Barcola.
Diaz is sehr gut.
Impressionnant.
Der ist gut, aber okay.
En défense.
Rat mal, gib mir deine Meinung. Zwischen Diaz und Olise, wer ist wirklich gut?
Ousmane Dembélé qui va remercier Barcola qui a fait tout le travail, mais Ousmane Dembélé sur son deuxième, troisième ballon permet au PSG de prendre
France, Kenzo Emilian, Tuna.
une supplémentaire.
I think Tuna likes you though.
Et c'est assez fort, hein, c'est assez fort. Regardez l'accélération de Barcola.
Guys, please like the live stream and maybe follow me when next I come online. We might see me again. France, let me make you
Ce PSG Barcola.
a moderator in my live stream.
Lee pour Barcola.
Add as moderator.
Hernandez. Hakimi. Ouais, ça va
Manager
tout seul.
moderator.
Regardez ça. Regardez-moi ça. Zahir qui vient donner ce ballon à Hakimi. Dembélé du droit. Par-dessus. Concédé sa première défaite de la saison sous Casper Youbrand. Oh la frappe. Oh la frappe.
Thank you, Emilian. Listen, if you wanna, do you have a YouTube channel? Like, give me your own. I can follow you.
19 tentatives pour les Parisiens. On parle pas de frappe cadrée, on parle vraiment des...
Let me see. I can't follow you here, Emilian. Okay, you follow. What is your YouTube name? Let me see. Let me screenshot. Emilian Tona. Okay, I'll go and follow you, France. I'll follow you too when after the live stream because I can't do that now.
Dembélé. Vitinha,
After the live stream, I'll follow you guys.
Vitinha, goal, 7-2.
And how much does this stand for? France, what are you talking about?
Avec un but pour Vitinha, également passeur et buteur ce soir, exactement comme Nuno Mendes.
Sorry, I don't have a channel, only a Snapchat. Um. Okay, if you wish, Okay, I just wanna create friends. It's fine. You can go to my videos. You go and like my videos. Click on my channel. You like my videos. Then you can drop your snap there, if you wanna. But France, you have to follow me.
Quels enseignements tirés de ce genre de
I have a channel, Emilian. Just follow the channel. And please, you guys should go to my videos. I want to know your names so that I can follow you guys too. France, is jullie ook weiter verfolgen, ja? Hast du einen YouTube-Channel oder so?
pour le PSG.
Oh, ich hab Durst, ey. Ich will so Bier trinken. You're the best. France, you're the best. Thank you very much. You're the best. But I want to know your name. Okay. This is your name. I'll go and follow. Then I'm going to follow you. Okay, Emilian, you can drop. You can follow France. Follow France, and then you follow me too. Then maybe you drop your Snapchat in any of my video. I'll know you are the one. Okay. Have a nice weekend. Please, seid vorsichtig, ja? Nicht so viel feiern. Don't drink too much beer. And stay out of trouble. I'm watching YouTube. Let me go to Netflix. France, do you have a film for me from Netflix? Like, okay. Oh, I have my eggs and Get Roblox. Is that a movie? I'll check it out now. Roblox. Let me see. There is a finals of Champions League coming. France, who do you think you win? Arsenal, Paris? Who do you think will win? I don't have games. I don't have PlayStation or Xbox. I don't have. It's expensive. I don't have it. PlayStation is, I think, 400 euro or 500, right? Yeah. It's viel zu viel teuer für mich. Yeah, PSG will win. Trust me. I know that too. PSG is number one. PSG will win the game. But many people are going for Arsenal. I don't know why.
I'm Gab, he's Jules. Blue skies over West London. We have so much to get into.
Many people are going for Arsenal. They say Arsenal is the best club now because they won the Premier League. And so I'm still waiting for them though. I'm not scared of them. Still waiting for them. Franz, was machst du heute Abend? Gehst du nicht raus oder mit Freunden oder so? Ich hole mal ein Bier. Cola Bier. Jaime dos bichos. Franz, you're 12 years old. Franz, I'm so tired. Hey, Franz, how come you speak so good English? Or did you study English in school? Kuma my NATO cartoon. Einkaufen. Einkaufen. Bei Netto, bei manche Tankstelle. Nach dem Kauf einfach swipen. Beep. Future tense 1 and future tense 2. I just know we have just one tense. Either the past tense, the future tense, the present tense, the past participle. I don't know about future tense 1 and future tense 2. But when we talk about future tense, it's something in the Zukunft. I will. I shall. I will be president tomorrow next year. Ich werde Präsidentin sein. So future tense es hat etwas mit der Zukunft zu tun. And then we have past tense. Past tense is past. Etwas mit Vergangenheit. I had a car. Had. So, H-A-D. H-A-D. Also, das spricht man mit der Vergangenheit. I had a car. Ich hatte ein Auto gehabt. Oder wenn mein Deutsch so gut ist, dann so habe ich alles richtig. Auf Englisch ist nicht so wie Deutsch. Gibt es maskulin oder feminin oder Artikel und so. Wir haben nur feminin und maskulin, so wie she für ein Mädchen, ein he für du und ich, wir sind Männer. Und dann, wenn es um einen Artikel geht, wir sagen der Haus, der Mann, der Woman, der Car, der Boss. Wir haben nicht so. Future one, what happens? Future two, action in the future that is certain. Future one, what happens? For example, what happens? And future two, action in the future that is certain. How can you know something in the future? Wie kannst du wissen, was in der Zukunft das ist? Du kannst nicht was in der Zukunft wissen, deswegen ist es Zukunft. So, das macht keinen Sinn. Moin, geht es dir? Michel, 13. Es gibt so ein Bar, eine Snack in Afrika. It is like present perfect. Yeah, I know the present perfect. That is different from future 1 and 2. Es gibt sowas nicht in Englisch. Entweder future tense or future present or future present. I like it. I'm fine. How about you? I'm doing very okay. Thanks for asking. Are you streaming in Europe or in Deutschland? Where do you stream from? France, I would like to do English language with you, but maybe next time. Momentan will ich mein Deutsch verbessern. Es ist auch gut, wenn wir auf Englisch sprechen, ne? Das freut mich, weil manchmal kann ich ein paar Worte auf Englisch mit dir sprechen, weil mein Deutsch ist nicht so 100% gut. Ich versuche immer noch Deutsch gut zu sprechen. Ich hasse sowas. Und weißt du, die Deutsche spricht, wie sagt man auf Englisch, opposite. Take for example, I'm very fine. Yeah, I'm still learning German, so Michelle, I'm very fine. Thanks for asking. Michelle, where are you streaming from? Hey, France, auf welcher Stadt bist du? Da welches Bundesland? Ah, du bist in der Bayern. I'll be in der Bayern. Sag mal, in 2 Wochen werde ich da. Ich habe einen Bekannten dort. Was hast du da geschrieben? Das Mamma Mia. Was meinst du? Das verstehe ich nicht. Das Mamma Mia. Ist das ein anderer Name für Bayern? Ah, okay. Das gleich wie sagt Paris. Ici c'est Paris. I've never been to the Bayern. I've never been to the Bayern. Ich bin in Baden-Württemberg. Also, wenn ihr Mannheim kennt. I've never been to the Bayern. So, but I think I'll be there next, in 2 Wochen werde ich da. Dann schauen wir, was gibt's Neues in Bayern. Michelle, please do well to follow me, so I should get to follow you back too. Michelle, do you have a channel, a YouTube channel? Bayer is a great friend today. Okay, Michelle, just follow me, then I'll follow you on your channel. I'll check my followers and I'll follow you too, okay? Or follow me and comment on one of my videos and just say, hey, this is Michelle, and I'll follow you back. Dankeschön. Merci beaucoup. So Michelle, how long have you been how long have you been on YouTube? How many months? How many years? How many days? Okay. Capiche, France. Ich bin immer noch hier. 2 months. I have been just 2 weeks. Means 2 weeks. But like I created my channel 2 weeks now, but I've been on the app for a long time. Michelle, do you speak German? Hi Rasmus, how are you? Welcome to the live stream. Meet Michelle and Franz. They are very good people. You can greet them. Doch, ich kann sogar mein Deutsch auch mit dir verbessern, ne? Bist du hier geboren? Asmas, how are you today? What time is it at your place? Du bist in der nicht nur einfach oben, da oben in der ist das Sachsen oder Niedersachsen? Holstein-Kiel, ganz oben. It's 12:32 a.m. at your place. Oh, which country are you? Rasmus, what country are you from? Yeah, you guys are in the north. Holstein-Kiel. Yeah, I really like to visit that place. I've never been there. I've been to Leipzig. I've been to Berlin. I've been to, when I'm in the north, I've been to Hanover. And so, You're from Kenya, but currently in Saudi Arabia. Oh, Mambo, Mambo, can you follow me, please? Because I hate follow you. Yeah, ja, I can follow you, Michelle. Aber jetzt kann ich nicht, weil ich bin im Livestream. Ich muss erstmal raus von hier gehen. Guck mal, ich versuche jetzt dich zu folgen, auch zu follow. Channel Activity 9. Hide me. I can't follow you now, Michelle. I need to go out of this place first. Okay? I promise I'll follow you. Ich schwöre dir. Ich schwöre dir, I'll follow you. I'll follow you back. Ich versuche nochmal. I can't follow you now. You have 7 subscribers. I see your account. What more? Add as administrator. Put your account. Nah, I can't follow you now, Michelle. I have to go out of the Zagma. I'm still online. It's weekend. France, it's weekend. Like, Michelle hat keine Sorge. Ich folge dir wieder zurück, okay? Auch mit France. I've not followed France. I need to go out of this live stream and come back. Then I'll follow you. Trust me, ich werde das machen. Ich will immer noch mit euch sprechen. Deswegen sage ich, go to my YouTube, follow me, then text, comment on one of my videos, say, hey, this is Michelle. And I'll know that is you. I'll text you personally. France, gehst du schon im Bett? Dankeschön. Schönen Tag noch. Guten Tag. Don't forget to comment. Go and comment on my video so that I should know that you are the one. Geh sofort etwas in meinen Kommentar in ein Video schreiben, damit kann ich wissen, dass du das bist, okay? Ich folge dir sofort so, wenn ich meinen Stream ende. Au revoir. Merci beaucoup. Rasma, you live in the Saudi. How long have you been in the Saudi? Ah, that is Zippo. Now I know who the person is. Rasma, Zippo, I know you are the one. That is Zippo. Now I know you're the one. I'm drinking cola beer. Yeah, your name. Either it is Ras Zippo or the Ras Zippy. Your name. I notice you don't use again your Zippo account. It's fine. Sure, you are doing good. Ah, you took Latin in school. I don't know any word in Latin apart from what I learned in church. Dominus Bobinscum et Spiritu. You are fine. Bye. Okay, bye. Welcome, guys. Today is my birthday. Join me and wish me a happy birthday. France, please do knock down. Please also do well to like the live stream. Also, okay. Van geht's zu Dennis, babe? When are you going to bed? When are you going to sleep? Es ist fast schon 23:31 Uhr. Okay. Es mag Sinn, ja. Du hast noch ein paar Minuten. Sag mal so 15 oder 10. Ja, 10 Minuten. Aber morgen ist, yeah, I think the same time. I want to talk to my brother. He lives in the United States. So after giving him a call, I think I'll be going to bed. Also die USA sind, wir sind 7 Stunden vorne in der USA. So, wenn es Mitternacht hier ist, es ist schon, sagen wir mal so, 8 Uhr in den USA. So, ich muss erst mit ihm sprechen, bevor ich im Bett gehe. Nothing. I'm just alone in Deutschland. Ich bin allein hier so. Ich habe etwas gekocht, gegessen. Und ich habe mir ein Bier gekauft und trinke ich. Und Gott sei Dank, I met you here. It's okay, on your birthday, at your birthday, okay. Ich glaube, ich werde auch gleich ins Bett gehen, weil ich bin nicht so gut mit. No, ich bin in Deutschland. I'm in Germany. Ich bin in Deutschland. Also, I am in Mannheim. I live in Mannheim. Mannheim is in Baden-Württemberg. Do you want to live forever, forever, forever young? I wanna live forever young. Do you want to live forever, forever, forever? My favorite song. I don't know if you know about it. It's an American musician. His name is 50 Cent. You know 50 Cent? He sang in that club. Is this my mixer the oven? This is my Mixer. Ich habe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he got himself nearly killed. But he's a lucky man though. He's not a millionaire, an entrepreneur, a businessman. I'm about to smile. Hi, how are you, Mr. Trey? Mr. Trey Inevitability. Welcome to the stream. Why did you choose this difficult name? I should hit the gym. I think I like myself like this. Why do you want me to hit the gym? Give me a reason. Why do you want me to hit the gym? That's very, that's random, you know. Yeah, bye. I'll come online tomorrow and I'll talk to you. Okay? Good, how are you, Nelly? Welcome to my stream. How do you do? forever young. I wanna live forever young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever, forever, forever young. I wanna live forever young. Do you really wanna live forever? Forever, ever, dun, 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 dun. Forever young. I wanna live forever young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever, forever, forever young. I wanna live forever young. Please do well to like the stream and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So tomorrow when I come online, I shall bring you up. Shall. No, I'm not Michael Jackson. How are you, Sean? Simple plan. Simple plan. Where are you streaming from? Where are you from? Where do you stream from, Simple plan? Let me see your.
But one of the interesting aspects of it is that I've asked repeatedly Israeli guests, very, very guests, why is it that as we talk about Iran not being allowed to have a nuclear weapon, why is it that Israel is consistently allowed and given a pass to never say whether it has a nuclear weapon? You know, I interviewed an American commentator on a show yesterday, and he said that Israel obviously has 170 nuclear weapons. Everybody knows that. I think they've never admitted it.
I know the answer to that question. It's illegal for America to give aid to Israel if they're a nuclear weapon state that has not signed a non-proliferation treaty. So they lie. They give the strategic ambiguity. Pretend they don't know that Israel is a nuclear weapon state. That way, conspiracy nothing. It's the Glenn Simonton law. It says it's illegal to give them aid if they're a nuclear weapon state that does not sign the aid.
Is that right?
So my answer to the question would be that Israel's policy of nuclear ambiguity, or excuse you referred to, will quite right that most of the world, as you understand, knows Israel's nuclear points. Has been Shimon Peres who used the phrase Israel will never introduce nuclear weapons into the region, which is a weird phrase. And then say, well, we're not going to say we're not going to introduce them. The reason for it, you're right, because it's one of those sticky things that you might wonder why is Israel not going to use Iran? But basically, the answer is kind of obvious. It's what it sounds like. Because Israel got the nuclear weapons to protect itself from basically a region which, in every direction, wanted to annihilate it since it was formed or legal in 1948, and has never used those weapons to threaten the annihilation of another country, as Iran frequently does. For example, the Islamic Republic of Iran does to Israel. They can go on and show up.
Threaten Western countries.
Why should Iran have to be completely transparent about its own nuclear aspirations? Okay, that's your opinion. But there are other countries. But there are other countries. If you go to Russia or China or North Korea, vast swathes of the world don't agree with you, right? So the point being,
They don't agree that those facts that Iran says death to Israel and death to America.
No, I didn't say that.
Those launch.
I mean, they are supportive of the regime that you detest, right? So my point being that there are global...
Okay, but
This is your opinion. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm saying go. No, of course. My point being, a lot of the world has a different opinion about it, right? So my question, the point of my question, why should we be compelled Iran to be transparent about what it has? But why is Israel not compelled to be transparent?
Iran signed the NPT and Israel didn't. That's why. Iran is actually obligated.
that's correct. Iran is obligated.
Would it not be a powerful thing for Israel to say, in full transparency, we have 170 ships?
Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't.
And you claim to be a transparent democracy.
Well, I'm saying this is it.
But why don't you transparent?
I personally have not seen nuclear weapons in Israel. I personally, it's not something that I have personal proof. Okay,
But you don't have to.
but yes, that seems to be the received opinion. However, if it were such a giant bluff, then it would be magnificent when they pulled off. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm telling you the difference between the two states. Why should Iran be transparent full stop when they're not being transparent? Is because they are a threat to the West. They are a threat to civilization. Israel is not. Israel is not
Threatening to nuke London and Paris and Berlin and Rome. It's called the Samson option. It's a the Western
When you
democracy.
say you're not on that conspiracy,
There's a book if I see more
Israel
called
wants
Samson option.
Israel wants the West.
I didn't say they want to. I said they have threatened that if the Western states abandon Israel to be overrun, they can nuke us too. And I'm not saying that's always been the permanent doctrine, but it's called the Samson option, and it was their doctrine at least in the 1970s. There's a book about it by Seymour Hersh. You can pretend like you never heard of such a thing, but everyone else watching this can just Google up the Samson option and read it for themselves. That's the second time you tried to say conspiracy to me. So that they won't say anything that I said.
And stated Israel to the West that it had a nuclear weapons. That's been proven by the fact that it will never use them, it's never threatened to use them, it's not threatening the annihilation of any other country. At most, what it does is uses its military strength, shielded by a nuclear umbrella, to fight tried to eradicate Israel, who tried to eradicate the Jewish people, who have a genocidal intent, who have united Shia militias in the entire region against Israel, who have attacked Americans for over 40 years, who have attacked Europeans, who bombed during this war a British base, who tried to bomb Diego Garcia. This is a regime which cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons, and there is no such thing as Israel.
The constant refrain we hear from the IDF or people talking about the IDF is they are the most moral army in the world. You were referring to British and others. And is the IDF, from everything we've seen in the last few years, the most moral army in the world?
No. I don't suppose anyone is the most moral. There are always people who do things wrong. It tries to be, like all armies do, it tries to be. But sometimes, because human beings are involved, they get it wrong.
That's not true. They deliberately target women and children.
I'm sorry. I
rape their
believe that. I've got a number of friends in the IDF who actually are appalled if that was the case. I don't agree with you.
Why would you blow their brains out because of the orders that they would need to follow?
Could it be that actually the reality is that they have used, and they're doing the same with Hezbollah and Lebanon, that the Israeli government has used the fact that undoubtedly Hamas and Hezbollah embed themselves in civilian areas, and that they have used that as the excuse to go and just obliterate these areas, knowing, full knowing, that in the process a lot of civilians get killed, women, children have nothing to do with this, and that it's a little umbrella excuse. In other words, they could say, we don't deliberately target the women and children, but they know for a fact that if they blow up that whole, some of the scenes I've seen from Lebanon recently are very reminiscent of Gaza. It's just obliteration has been the order of the day. They know this most moral army in the world, but when they attack in that way, a lot of civilians are going to be killed. So they can say we're not deliberately targeting the civilians, but they also a lot of civilians are that. Now, the argument back at that, Bob, is World War II, President, the nuclear bomb.
The Geneva Conventions were all written after all that.
And that's the argument I put forward, which is that's why we continue to make convention. Because an army man, what do you feel about that?
Well, when I was in Parliament, and that was nearly 2 years ago, I stopped being a member of Parliament, I would make speeches, and my view was that after 27th, actually Israel should not invade Gaza, but should use its special forces in lightning, pinpoint raids with a target that can be identified to avoid civilian casualties by putting mass troops into Gaza. Inevitably, things like we just portrayed will happen, and innocents will die more than necessary. It's always, you can't actually unleash the sword, as it were, and expect everyone.
Is it morally defensible to target civilian areas where you know, or you believe, or you suspect terrorists are living and operating? Is that morally
No,
defensible?
because the Geneva Conventions say to soldiers like myself, you should not unleash weapons if there is a chance that civilians
So,
will.
Jonathan, why does the IDF just run roughshod everywhere?
Well, my understanding of how the idea from the people I speak to there, how it's operated, for example, Lebanon, for an awfully long time, we didn't go into Lebanon and plan a nuclear operation, or deeper down to has done now. But after Hezbollah joined in on October the 7th or 8th, whenever it was, and Israel evacuated a huge swathes of the north of Israel to create a buffer so that this population would be protected. Indeed, that population has been under threat for some time, with the uniformed forces, the UN peacekeeping forces, not keeping peace in the south of Lebanon below the Litani River. So though Israel did tolerate that for an extraordinary amount of time, while other people were under fire for many years, which is very unreported in the West, they did then eventually, after October the 7th, I believe, make a different calculation, which is to say, with warnings to evacuate civilians and attempts to do those sorts of things, which are right, don't always work. You can end up often with civilian death camps, which will be hideous for people to see. But I think they made the evaluation that it's time country, take with the Gaza Strip, and that holds 50% of it is with stalemate. I don't think it's a point, and it is, just to finish that, just to say, I think they decided the buffer zone
is that to this day, despite there being a supposed ceasefire, which seems to be constantly broken in some way, but despite that, the international media are still not allowed in to operate freely in Gaza.
And they killed hundreds of reporters who were from there.
Over 200. And they sort of framed all of them as they were all linked to Hamas, which is fine if there are no international journalists on the ground to verify either way. You can make any claim you like, and it can't be challenged. And I've had people like Jonathan Conricus and others say he totally agrees with me. And he's completely wrong. And to you as a journalist,
Look, I asked many times where it starts, but eventually they let me on the mandate. But you're right, it's very limited what you can see. Again, I understand why they made that decision. It's less easy to understand it now with circumstances.
I think there's only one reason they're doing it. They don't want people to see.
That may be positive, I would agree. But I'm not sure that's the only reason, but I think that is part of it. I think also the other part of the reason is that they believe that the war is still ongoing in a different status. And that's what it is, because on both sides, as you said, well, no, they shouldn't be. You're not going to say that both sides are constantly.
I know a lot of guys who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan who are absolutely outraged every time they hear the Israelis pretend that they follow the same battlefield procedures as our army guys do. And I don't know all the exact numbers, but it's like the most civilians that you can kill to get a medium value target or a high value target is 10 or 20, something like that.
There's a lot of
The Israelis are pretty
It's not true that there's such a massive distinction in that each army evaluates.
drone strikes are 30-pound Hellfire missiles. Okay, is what Obama was doing with drone strikes. He killed a lot of people with double tap strikes. It's nothing like the 300 to 1 type ratio that the Israelis adopted. I know you covered it. When they bombed the tents, they claim they're going after one guy, and they bombed the tent city. They killed 300 people, claiming they're going after one guy when they're not even going after one guy. And then, crucially, there's the Israeli journalistic outlet, 972 Mag, who did the groundbreaking reports on the use of artificial intelligence, Lavender, and Daddy's Home. And what the program, Daddy's Home, is it follows alleged Hamas fighters home and then kills them in front of their families and or with their families. And Lavender, they talk all about, in the program Lavender, they say, we've identified all the Hamas targets we can find, we killed them all already, so now what do we do? So what do? They turn the dial on the AI to now, figuratively, to now include 4 more people. Now it's just all fighting age males. Now they're all Hamas. And you don't even have IDF, humans supervising this. You just trust the computer program to pick targets and go out there and kill people. And so
I do think one of the reasons that the reputation of Israel globally has taken such a hit is because people can see the scenes on the ground in Gaza, and they can see the scenes in Lebanon, and they just think it's massively disproportionate. It doesn't mean, in my case, for example, I spent many months being purely on the pro-Palestinian side for defending Israel's right to defend itself. I fundamentally believe that right to defend itself. And the Western
remember back what the colonel said about how easy it would be for the IDF, Shin Bet, Mossad, to go in there and pinprick and get these.
I tell you what I did.
The worst worse, because by not doing that, you're massively engaging, you killed a hell of a lot of people, and going back to some point, a point you made earlier, by doing that, kill your brother, turns you into a terrorist.
I mean, the surge
The British Army learned that in Northern Ireland. I would read it in the early 70s.
There are weird things, I wouldn't say, we've got to wrap this up a bit, but there are weird things here which I think we'll find out more about over time. But how the Mossad, which is reputed to be a brilliant and organized, so intelligent that it can blow up 3,000 Hezbollah terrorists in 1 moment with agents that they infiltrate. So intelligent that it can track the movements of the Ayatollah of Iran with people through tracking guns reportedly. And so on and so on and so on. How that agency appeared to have no idea that the billions of dollars being funneled into Gaza were being misused by Hamas to build this extraordinary
supported an operation before because they didn't know. Because they knew, we would have supported them. And then
I'm just saying, how did the Mossad not have any comprehension of anything of that scale
it's very intelligent, had a lot of knowledge of what was going on in Gaza, but they thought that the misconception, as I understand it, is that they believed that A, the world would not support them preemptively striking the Gaza Strip. So what happened on October the 7th was the pretext. But B, they also had this massive preconception that non-violent means would be better. So a technological fence would make it possible to break through.
But the question I'm going to answer
that didn't work.
how did they not know 3,000 Hamas terrorists were about to pour over the border, right?
Well, what, so you think they were part of it?
No, not at all. I don't mind about conspiracy. I'm just saying there was a massive ball dropping. And I still can't get my head around it. This is on their doorstep.
It's easy, okay? Netanyahu repeated this over and over again. If you wish to thwart the creation of a Palestinian state, you must support Hamas in
Well, I
Gaza.
believe in him.
That's why he
I
said,
believe he was leading divided
we
and
control the height of the flame. And he denied saying that when he had three sources said he said it to a reporter. Now we got him on tape saying it's
I don't think there's any doubt. There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Wait, to answer your question.
We're trying to make divide and rule.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We prevent a Palestinian state by keeping them divided and conquered. But then he said we control the height of the flame, which means that yeah, they're dangerous. They're just dangerous enough that we can tell the U.S. Congress, well, you don't expect us to negotiate with these terrorists, do you? But don't worry, they won't break out of it and do anything. But then that means that everyone down the chain of command knew that that was Netanyahu's policy. And so if anyone is reporting up the chain of command, I see suspicious movements at the fence, I see, whatever dangerous things, those warnings don't go all the way up to the Prime Minister's office because Lieutenant Colonel and Captain and they know that the boss doesn't want to hear that. And so they don't pass
None
it.
of it really makes much sense, and I hope we get to the bottom of it. Maybe they don't listen to Malcolm or get somebody to find out. Denying complaints and delay was the standard policy by the Gaza whenever there were claims of tragic accidents and crimes. Regularly on this show, first they denied all knowledge, next they plugged the zone with reasons to blame somebody else, next they promised investigation and an outcome to be published someday. Trump administration and US military is now accused of doing exactly the same thing about a missile strike that destroyed an Iranian school, killing many children in the most fruitful months ago. This week the Congressional Committee challenged the head of the US Central Command.
The investigation is ongoing. As soon as it's complete, I'm happy to. So that's impossible. You will not take responsibility for something you very obviously did. So it's a complex investigation. The school itself is located on an active IRGC cruise missile base. So it's more complex than the average strike. I do not trust that answer.
Well, Dominic Ragdale, one of the reporters of Sky News in the UK, who's in Tehran, responded, "We have been there multiple times this week. It's categorically not on the missile base. And everyone we've asked, says no military activity nearby. So what is the truth and what do we know for sure?" That's the question today panel. We also tackle the off-frequent claim Iranian forces killed 40,000 civilians. Almost frequent justification cited for war. Joining me is Scott Wilton, author of Remote. Brian Bodenheimer is the former Air Force combat pilot and is Max Hartsberg. As well as surprisingly investigative journalist in the New York Times, to all of you. I appreciate it very much. Let me start with you, Scott Horton. Welcome back so soon. Well, I feel quite spoiled that we're getting you so soon. And thank you for your kind words about me on the Joe Rogan podcast, which I really enjoyed too. And we will do that one-on-one, by the way. We were talking about not getting so we'll come to that another time. Scott, this whole strike on this school, obviously utterly devastating in terms of loss of life, particularly young children. The Sky News report from their guy on the ground makes it crystal clear that this was not part of any IRGC compact, as the early spin wanted us to believe. Which begs the question, they must know who has fired this Tomahawk missile. They don't just get fired randomly. Why is there such a concerted effort not to admit what happened?
Well, I'm sure it was a targeted mistake. And yes, they should have just apologized immediately and said, well, we didn't mean for that to happen. My best understanding, and you have the New York Times reporters right here whose work I'm referring to here, they seem to show that this used to be part of the same compound, but then they just built a wall and separated it. And they showed where the strikes on all the different buildings, virtually all of the different buildings in that compound, looked just the same as this one. And then it was the Washington Post that published video of a Tomahawk incoming that hit another one of the buildings just adjacent to the school there. So apparently this, I believe the Times report, this used to be part of IRGC base. It was essentially on one big piece of property, but they had built a wall separating it years ago. But the thing of it is from the Iranian people's point of view, it seems like we should at least take into account here that regardless of whether it was a mistake or not, just how absolutely horrific this was. And all the casualties of all the wars, the numbers, get, taken in different contexts and scenarios or whatever, but I believe it was the leftist media critic Adam Johnson who first pointed out that the casualty count here is essentially equivalent to the Oklahoma City bombing. Only if that entire federal building had been the daycare center. 167 killed all little girls. And this is the kind of, it's one of the things that goes to show why we should not be starting aggressive wars in the first place, is because mistakes like this can happen and become an absolute stain on this country.
Okay, Matthew Brown, welcome to Uncensored. What do we know for a fact about this?
What we know for a fact is that, yes, multiple buildings in that area were targeted, and yes, the school building is adjacent to the IRGC facility. According to experts that I've since spoken to since our early reports, it's not uncommon for these IRGC bases, much like American bases, to have schools for the children of the serving members of the IRGC. This particular school was opened up to the public a few years ago, cordoned off from the site, public entrances opened. Other parts of the site also repurposed for public use as a medical clinic and a cultural centre there as well. And witnesses, or not witnesses, but sources that we've spoken to say that, yeah, there weren't weapons stored there, that it was more of a logistics hub than, a base that was used to store cruise missiles. And why would you store explosives right beside the school that your kids are going to? We know it was hit in that early salvo on the first day of the war, the start of the working week when school was in session. Teachers had called parents to collect their kids once the war started, but by the time that most parents got there, the school building had been hit, devastating consequences. There was a second wave of attacks a couple of hours later on that same area and facility. There have been some reports, we haven't been able to confirm them, that the school was hit twice, including the Sky News report with an eyewitness who survived the attack. That's what we know so far. And then the casualties, the original casualties were put at 175. The Iranian state has since revised that down to about 156, and Christian here, my colleague, and others have been able to corroborate that number.
Right, well, let's bring Christian in here. Welcome to our services. Obviously, there's a lot of investigation that's been going on into this. And I guess, look, in terms of who fired it, there's one of three potential options, I guess. The Americans, the Israelis, or was it some rogue missile that Iran had fired, which they misfired, which seems the least likely of the three scenarios. But do we know for a fact that it was a US Tomahawk missile?
Yes, we do. I mean, Matt here, I think, Ursula can already reference it as well, but like indeed, you're mentioning the three actors here, but the fact that we actually had footage of a projectile coming in at that same compound makes it unmistakable that it's a US attack, because what we're seeing in that video is a US Tomahawk missile, and Trump went as far as to saying like Iran may have Tomahawk missiles, but there's evidence to back that up. So I don't think it's really worth going into that claim right now. I think by now he has also said like he's willing to live with the with the fact if it happens to be the US, right? That's what he said in response to the questions of the media about this. But yeah, coming back to the casualties, like yeah, we were able to establish 156. At least 156 people have died, 120 of them being students at school, 73 boys, 47 girls, teaching staff as well. I think also 7 parents that we were able to identify that already got into the school, as Melody was referring to, school driver, and so on. So absolutely devastating attack. But what are also very interesting is that it's only one of several attacks that opened there for war, where the US actually hit civilian sites.
But it's very reminiscent to me about the debate that's going on in Gaza, where the constant refrain from the IDF, for example, was when a number of civilians had been killed, was always they were targeting a Hamas compound, a Hamas, school or hospital, whatever it was, where Hamas were based, using it as a base, or using civilians as some kind of, shield and so on. And are we in the same kind of realm here, where the argument may be, and they say they're going to conclude investigating the series for ridiculous to take 80 days, but if they come back and simply say, look, we were targeting the base, and this missile sprayed into the neighbouring school here, it was a genuine mistake. Is that a plausible scenario here? Is that what we're really looking at today?
I think that what we're looking at is outdated targeting. In the most likely scenario, we can't preempt what the investigation is going to finally show. By the way, it's 3 months on, and in any previous incident, they've come out much sooner than that with liability. So what it looks like, and according to sources that we've spoken to and written about, it looks like it was outdated targeting information that was used and dusted off. And we don't know if that's because of the speed at which targets were being chosen and prepared, or what, because it was, this was in the midst of, a flurry of targets on targeting military sites and government officials in the opening hours. But you would think that with weeks or months to prepare for this, that due diligence would have been done to ensure that this school, which had a website, an active website, which was clearly separated from the base, is not dissimilar to other schools at other IRGC bases along the coast, would have been flagged and had proper work being done, put on perhaps a no-strike list, which is an obligation of militaries to maintain. So there's no evidence that this compound or indeed the school was used for military purposes, was storing weapons or anything like that. It just looks like it was lazy targeting with devastating consequences.
So before I go to Ryan, just to conclude on this part of it, if it is how you believe it to be, would that constitute potentially a war crime or not?
It's the obligation of militaries to mitigate civilian harm. If there are repeated reckless patterns, then under international humanitarian law, it could be constituted a war crime. And as Chris said, these aren't the only civilians or children that were killed in the opening hours of that war by the US, using weapons that we can identify as only US weapons. But it depends on whether this is a repeated pattern of recklessness.
Okay, then bring in Ryan Boneham. Welcome back to Uncensored, Ryan. You're a former Air Force combat pilot, so you're a perfect person to ask here. When you were engaged in operations, or you spoke to others who were, put yourself into the pilot cockpit here of whichever plane fired this missile. How confident would you be before unloading and firing a missile on an area like this that the targeting was precise enough to avoid what we've seen happen here?
Yeah, great question, Pierce. I'm glad we're having this discussion. Hello to you and hello to the panel. And this is really important that we talk about this. Well, for myself, in an FATE cockpit, I've been in situations in combat where we've been asked to drop weapons, and we're the tip of the spear. We can see what's going on. And there's a case that I can recall where we were asked to strike insurgents in Afghanistan, and they would surround themselves with children. So that was the tactic that they would use. They would bring children around them. And so in that exact scenario, we were cleared hot to strike, and I delayed. I didn't strike with the kids around them, but that's the tactic that we saw throughout the entire campaign in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we see it in Iran as well, where even when there was the potential for the power plants and bridges to be struck, and Iran called for women and children to go to these locations, essentially doing the same terrorist playbook that we saw in Afghanistan to try to protect their infrastructure with children. So this is a playbook that you see out of terrorists. Dual use, surround themselves with children because they know that will hold fire, which is exactly what I did in that situation. And so putting myself in the shoes of that Tomahawk missile operator, watching from the submarine, they are not going to purposefully strike something that has kids in it. And you, as the operator, you have that determination, that final determination. If you know that there's children or civilians in it, you have the obligation to not strike. Which is why this, to me, is definitely not a purposeful strike. I think the discussion on the panel of this being some sort of targeting error, the Defense Intelligence Agency maybe not having the latest up-to-date information, which is not okay. That's something that we need to fix and update.
When you have a Tomahawk fired from a submarine, is the moment called by a pilot in a plane? I mean, how does it work in reality in combat?
They're likely using some sort of information previously. They are some sort of information previously from a targeting package. And this was previously a Iranian cruise missile base. We know that. But it was years ago that they say that they separated the school from the actual military operation. But we know the IRGC rotates. They rotate in and out of different locations. They have underground facilities. So there's other things that they could do to have swapped this back and forth a couple times. But I agree with the panel that we have to have the latest breaking information in a conflict. And in the fog of war, terrible things can happen. So I don't think anybody's justifying this. And this is a true tragedy that those kids died. But if you look at what Iran's doing, they're using it as a propaganda win. I mean, where's the discussion of the thousands of people that were killed over the last few months? They don't want to talk about that. They want to say, hey, look at this, which again is a tragic incident. We can't overlook it. But they are fighting a propaganda war where the only situation in that school strike is that the U.S. loses.
Well, yeah, it's interesting you bring up the obviously the killing of all the protesters in Germany, because last time Scott was on recently, he was extremely sceptical about these claims that up to 40,000 protesters were killed, and I will come back to Scott in a second. But let me just ask you, Anarchy, about that. From the New York Times investigative perspective, do we know how many people, or even a vague idea of how many of those protesters were killed in January?
I think it's really challenging that we just preface it with that because there's a communications blackout. A lot of protests were happening at night. Really, we were relying on video evidence that was being collated and managed to get out through Starlinks onto social platforms and aggregating and collecting that. So to answer your question, we can't truly know yet. It's likely and feasible that it's in the thousands of people, according to what we've seen and we've been able to collate, and also what has been collected by three Iranian human rights groups who have a record of getting numbers like this fairly accurate. Two of them put it in around 3,000 to 3,500 people, one at about 6,500 people. And it's worth saying that, the Iranian authorities themselves admit that about 3,100 people were killed. They usually lowball those numbers. But what we could see in the footage is, extensive use of live fire being used on protesters. We documented it in 19 cities in Iran and 6 suburbs of Tehran. And we saw people being shot in the head, legs, bodies, torsos being carried away. It was widespread, and we also have reported, my colleague Farnaz Pazahai reported along with us that the order came from the top to quash the protests, and the order was given to security forces to use lethal force.
All right, joining us now is Joe Kent. He is the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center under the Trump administration. He resigned recently because of the Iran war. He was also special forces, did 11 tours, was a paramilitary officer for the CIA, and unfortunately he lost his first wife, Shannon, in a suicide bombing in Syria as well. Joe, welcome to the show. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being on. All right, Joe, you said that the Iran war is problematic because they were not an imminent threat to us. And now we have significant costs of that war piling up. We have 13 service members killed, 232 service members wounded, 16 aircraft destroyed, up to $1 billion a day spent on the war, gas price over $1 per gallon higher nationwide, and the list goes on and on. Is this already obviously a mistake?
Certainly, and unfortunately, it's a mistake without a clear exit, because now that we're in it, it's going to be very challenging for us to extricate ourselves. Obviously, there's been immense cost in human life. In terms of American service members, we have the situation we have in the Straits of Hormuz, where now world energy prices are being affected. We're seeing the effects here in the price at the pump. And unfortunately, in my opinion, the Iranians currently have the upper hand, maybe not militarily, but in terms of them having leverage. And we have this, I'm sure we'll get into it, an off-balance relationship with our, air quotes, partner, the Israelis. The Israelis have completely different strategic objectives than we do at this point, but we are still treating them essentially, most charitable definition would be as a partner, but really they're in the lead of the military operation. So I think we're in a very bad situation right now. I pray that it won't get worse. I pray that the rumors of the potential for, committing ground troops in any way, shape, or form is just a negotiating tactic. But I think we need everyone to be very aware of just how high the stakes are.
So, Joe, Look, people say I go too far when I say this war is 100% because of Israel, but I really can't find an American objective. So you've said already that they were not an imminent threat. Obviously, they weren't. They had, even if they had enriched uranium, it wasn't enriched enough. Even if it was enriched enough, they had no weapons to deliver it here. So that's clear. Their ballistic missiles can't reach us. Their proxy groups are an issue for Israel, but it's not like Hezbollah was attacking Santa Fe. So I literally can't find an American interest. So is this 100% Israel's war?
Yes. I mean, look, the Iranians, we've had our issues with them in the past. And I think President Trump in his first term, he addressed them appropriately. When Iranian proxies killed Americans, President Trump responded rapidly. He killed Qasem Soleimani, he killed Abu Mani Mohannis, but then he stopped and he didn't take the bait of getting us sucked into a regime change war, because at a very basic level, President Trump has always understood that getting us sucked into the Middle East is just a recipe for disaster. From there, he used diplomacy, he used economic tools to prevent us from sliding into a war, but also to give us a strategic effect that we needed to kind of keep the Iranians at bay, to get them to the negotiating table. When Trump first came in January of 2025, the Iranians stopped their proxies from continuing to attack us. Under the Biden administration, they attacked us, 100 to 200 times since October 7th. The Iranians understood that President Trump, wasn't someone really that was going to take the same level of attacks as the Biden administration, but also they understood that President Trump did want to get a deal. And now this posed a strategic threat to what the Israelis wanted, and the Israelis wanted regime change in Iran. And basically, the series of events we've seen since then have played right in the Israelis' hands. And look, it's not just you and I saying that this is Israel's war or we lack a strategic objective. All we continue to hear from the administration, unfortunately, is basically a list of tactical targets that we want to bomb. And lists of things to bomb, that's not actually a strategic objective. And so now we're trying to negotiate, whereas the Israelis continue to aggressively pursue their objectives, which is regime change. And so again, we're at an impasse with our partner, and our partner is saying we want the war to continue. They're continuing to attempt to kill negotiators. We saw reports today that there may have been an Israeli plot to kill Abbas Araghchi. We heard President Trump himself say a few days ago that he can't tell us who he's negotiating with. He's afraid that they'll be killed, and it's pretty obvious who they'd be killed by. So look, at the end of the day, we just have to be honest with ourselves and say that in this war, only the Israelis stand to gain while we pay for it and while we bleed for it, and while it's going to have massive strategic and economic ramifications on American foreign policy, and then all the way back here to the U.S. and to include our allies in the Gulf and in Europe.
So Donald Trump, when talking to allies, said, they asked him, well, when's the war going to be over? What's our objectives? And he said, I'll know it in my bones. So I guess we're all waiting for Donald Trump's bones to tell us when the war is over, but that doesn't seem like a military objective. And then 3 Republicans came out of a closed-door meeting that was classified and said, oh, they were worried that we're going to put in ground troops and that we really had no objectives. So, Joe, Israel definitely has an objective. They would love to put Reza Pahlavi as the dictator, Shah or king of Iran, and he's already gone to Israel and pledged his allegiance to Israel, so that's clear. Trump has said a couple of times, no, we can't do that. He has no popular support in the country. So now I'm reading the press that they're on a plan B, which is create a giant civil war in Iran so that the Iranians are busy fighting each other and they can't fight against Israel and they're defanged and they're defenseless, etc. So I understand Israel's goals, and I understand it from their perspective. I think it's a terrible, heinous thing to do, but at least I understand. For us, I can't even guess at what our goals are. So, is our goal to destroy every ballistic missile? And how would we know? Every boat that Iran has? And how would we know? We say our objective is not regime change. So if it's not regime change, and we've already incapacitated their entire Air Force and what looks like almost their entire Navy, and we've taken out their nuclear facilities, and we've taken out almost all their ballistic missiles, and we took out the top 49 leaders, what else can we do? Do we have a single identifiable objective for the United States in this war?
or we don't. And this is why I really encourage President Trump to basically take everything that you just listed off and declare victory based on everything that you just listed off. And then tell the Israelis, we're done funding this. You can go it on your own, but you need to worry about defending your own country. We're not going to pay for any more offensive operations because that would, mess up us declaring victory, which I think President Trump should declare victory right now. Say, hey, the Iranian Navy's at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. We've taken out X amount of leaders. We've taken out X amount of ballistics. We obliterated their ability to produce a weapon of mass destruction. But in order for any of that to be taken seriously, he has to restrain the Israelis. Step one of any de-escalation, or even step one of declaring any kind of victory, is restraining the Israelis and just being honest with ourselves and recognizing what you just said, that the Israelis have a vastly different strategic objective. It's either to install completely new leadership or really just to continue to kill whoever rises to the top, and if that results in massive amounts of chaos, like you said, with the Iranians fighting each other or a massive migration crisis, then so be it. The Israelis have a very different look at what a very different approach to what winning in this scenario looks like. But I think the time is right now for President Trump to say, hey, we accomplished all of our goals, restrain the Israelis, declare victory, and now let's start talking about how we can get the oil flowing again out of Iran, out of the Straits of Hormuz, and how we can start rebuilding the Gulf.
I'm going to move on to Israel in a minute and talk about how dug in they are for structures of power in this country and have an honest conversation about it. But before we do that, one more thing at least about the war, which is to the point about declaring victory. Joe, if we went to the Iranians now and said, look, here's our new offer. Our old offer, our current offer, by the way, is get rid of all of your ballistic missiles, something that no country will do, and get rid of all of your uranium, even though we're fighting a huge war and you don't want to get rid of the energy program you have for uranium. And we get to control your foreign policy. And now, by the way, Donald Trump has added he gets to control the Strait of Hormuz. So that's fantasy land, right? That's never going to happen. They're not even at the negotiating table. And then you put out these ludicrous demands, right? But if you put that away and we went to them and said, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, cut out the Israelis from the peace deal, let them, if they want to join the peace deal, great, wonderful, we love that, right? But we're going to do a peace deal with you, Iran. You reopen up the strait. You stop bombing the Gulf countries that are our allies. You stop bombing our bases. By the way, we then are no longer enemies, okay? And then we'll leave. Where's the downside of it?
Yeah, I would even throw in sanctions relief and helping them reintroduce a lot of their oil to the world market, which would be an economic boom for Iran. Iran has said that they want, they want us to basically pay back all the damage that's been done. I don't think that's very realistic. I don't think we can, even if we wanted to. But what we can do is we can help them reintroduce their oil to the market. This is going to be, I think, a great offer for the Iranians. I think it's going to help bring down oil prices. It would incentivize the Iranians to open up the Straits of Hormuz. And then, like you said, we have a separate peace deal with them. I think a key part of the Iranians taking it seriously at this point is going to have to be us restraining the Israelis. And restraining the Israelis, I think, is politically going to be hard for us to do because we're going to talk about the Israeli influence. But in terms of military capabilities, if we basically say to the Israelis, we're not going to fund your offense anymore, well, we will defend you if you're attacked. We're not going to fund, it's a deal breaker if you guys go back on the offense. Then we're going to have to seriously look at how much military aid we give you. We hold the leverage in that equation. We don't act like it, and I think we should, but that's going to be a key component, I think, to showing the Iranians that we're actually serious is restraining Israel.
Yeah, and of course, the only downside to that is that people would, in America, especially the media, would cry and say, oh my God, beloved Israel, we can't do this to them. They started a war, and so we have to fight it for them. I find that entirely unpersuasive. Israel's got nothing to do with me. I don't even think they're an ally. But I wanted to ask one more question about the war itself. Why not use Israeli countries? They're the ones who wanted this war. 80% of the population wanted it. Their government pushed for it for decade after decade. And Americans have no objectives there, as we just described. Why do we have to use our ground troops? Israel is now using their ground troops to invade Lebanon and take more land for themselves. Well, I hear about how the IDF is legendary all the time. I mean, I see them murdering helpless women and children mainly. But if they're so legendary, why are they going to Iran instead of us?
It's simply not what we're looking at. Iran is massive. Israel is tiny. They don't have anywhere near enough ground forces to do anything other than maybe a strategic strike, a quick commando-style raid in and out that they specialize in. But in terms of actually committing ground troops, like you, as you mentioned, they're pretty tied up right now in Lebanon, Gaza, etc. And I think even if they weren't tied up or with their neighbors, again, I just don't know if they would be able to actually muster a large enough force to hold anything substantial inside Iran. This is why Israel needs us on board for this war in particular, in order for them to take down the Iranian regime in terms of just even airlift, the ability to dominate the skies, conduct a meaningful air campaign, what's taking place in the Persian Gulf, then ground troops. That's all got to be us. That's why they've needed us for every single step of this.
Yeah. Well, then maybe they shouldn't start wars if they don't have the troops to fight them. If they say, oh, no, we have to send American troops into a meat grinder for a war we'd like, I got an idea, don't start the war. Okay, so now that turns to why they have so much influence here. So, Joe, our media tells us that Israel has almost no influence in Washington. That all the money they spent, $100 million in just the last election cycle, the fact that they've given to 94% of Congress, they've given $337 million to Donald Trump, lifetime #1 donor to Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Mike Johnson. But we're told all that money is just for panic games. They actually have no influence at all. This barely has anything to do with this war. And if you say that Israel has influence in Washington, that's anti-Semitic. So, put aside the ludicrous charges. In your experience, you're the head of national counterterrorism. Does Israel have significant influence in Washington?
Significant, more than I ever would have imagined from reading anything or researching on my own. Maybe that's my own ignorance. But I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes from the position that I was in. The degree of access in which the Israelis have to our elected officials and to our senior defense and diplomatic corps and our intelligence officials is second to none, really. And then in terms of how much capture they have of the mainstream media, and then obviously both houses of the Senate and the Congress, it gives them a pretty unique ability. And I think a lot of this is financial that you've laid out, and I think is very well documented. But I don't think people understood, or at least I didn't understand, just how long a lot of these relationships go back. And then also there's just a degree of comfort that we have with the Israelis, because the Israelis are very effective at what they do. They have a lot of dual citizens that are in these key locations in their own government that they use to liaise with our government officials. And when you deal with the Israelis, they're very persuasive. They many times don't feel like they're a foreigner. I mean, because you'll be talking to somebody who went to school in America and has an American-sounding accent. And the Israelis have done a very good job of saying, hey, we have the exact same strategic objectives. And a lot of times, in terms of like very tactical objectives, in terms of like taking out a terrorist here or a terrorist there, we do have the same objectives, and we can partner with the Israelis. And the Israelis are very good at what they do in terms of like their intelligence services, especially in the Middle East. They're better at the game there than we are, and so it's very easy to forget sometimes when they are sharing intelligence with us or some of their insights, that they're giving us this information to influence us as well as to inform us. So this network of both, financial co-option from our elected officials, from the media, that tied in with the official engagement and just the skill of their ability to really insert information into our system unofficially, that gives them a good deal of leverage and a good deal of access, and it really helps them pursue their objectives.
Yeah, two things that come out of that answer. So, as I hear you describing how they speak and look just like us, and they melt in really well, and seem to be saying that we have the same objective. It reminded me of the Americans and the Cold War. The Americans, a TV show, of course, but during the Cold War, that was real. The Russians tried sending in people who looked like us and talked like us and didn't have an accent to infiltrate our government. Part of the reason that I bring that up, Joe, is because a lot of times people make this about religion when it has nothing to do with religion. And they make it sound like, oh my God, the idea that a foreign government will try to infiltrate and influence America is nuts. It's never happened. It's a wild conspiracy theory. But hasn't it happened many times? The Russians and many others have done this. So if Israel were to do it, would that be like some sort of outrageous thing that is unprecedented, or kind of fairly normal, ladies and gentlemen?
It's pretty normal. I mean, governments always try to influence other governments. We try to influence other governments. I don't think we're as subtle about it. I think we're usually a little bit more kind of transparent, and we throw our weight around so people know what our game is. The Israelis, I mean, it's a small country, and so they have to kind of punch way above their weight class, and they don't do that by being overt. They do it by being really smart and really good at what they do. And obviously, you know, there's the financial component to that, but then also there's just the way that they run the game. And so my issue really isn't at all with necessarily with Israel. It's our relationship with Israel. It's us not understanding that they have a separate agenda than us that they are aggressively pursuing, and we're allowing them to aggressively pursue their agenda that in some cases might be the same as our agenda, but especially in terms of big strategic picture, it's actually not in line with what we want to do. And as a matter of fact, I mentioned this in my resignation letter. When you take a broader look, the vast majority of the wars we've fought in the 23, almost 25 years now at this point in time in the Middle East, they've really been driven heavily by the Israeli lobby. I mean, there's been folks in the United States, obviously, who have been a part of that as well. But in terms of what Israel, especially like the Likud party in Israel, wants to accomplish, those foreign policy aims have been a big part that have influenced the direction that our policies in the Middle East have gone, especially when it comes to who we go to war with.
Yeah. So, look, Washington's a funny place because if you say Big Pharma has enormous influence over the politicians, people will generally agree. Of course, Big Pharma didn't give all that money to not influence the politicians, and that's why we can't negotiate drug prices. If you say about Big Oil, well, they're getting $35 billion in subsidies every year for reasons no one can explain, other than the money that they give to politicians, right? And everybody accepts that and thinks it's logical. When you get to Israel, they go, no, you're anti-Semitic. Hey, so Israel's the one lobby that is feckless and useless. They give hundreds of millions of dollars, but they're so unsavvy, they don't affect any politicians or anyone in intelligence or anyone in our government. That seems preposterous.
Takes more credit because they're really good at what they do.
Yeah.
But you're right, because that's what you hear. You automatically hear anti-Semitic. And I think for a very long time, I mean, a lot of people were like, I don't want to be called that. It's like being called racist or whatever. So people don't want to be called that. They freak out, and they automatically move away from it. I think that taboo, whatever you want to call it, is kind of breaking because it's just been so overplayed at this point. I think we're finally in a place where almost both sides are saying, like, okay, yeah, fine, but I'm not talking about their religion. I like to point out that I very rarely even say, like, the fact that they're Jewish doesn't really make any difference to me. Like, I'm a Christian. It's a big part of my life. It's a big part of who I am. I would have the same view of the Israelis if they were all Christians. If the Christian minority there took over and they won the next election somehow and they converted everybody somehow, I'd be happy for them as a fellow Christian, but I still wouldn't think that their country should drive my country's foreign policy. But yet we're in this situation. And so they've used that tactic, but I really feel like its effectiveness is wearing out. And the only thing that gives me some hope in this bad situation that we're in is I do think this is going to help both sides, both the side that I come from, the right, the MAGA side, and then even probably some normal Republicans and Democrats out there, but then also the progressive wing, who's been, I think, on top of this issue to a certain extent as well. It's going to help us find some common ground, especially with younger voters in the future.
Yeah, 100%. So now, look, I agree with you completely. I understand